Hello, Year 6. Today we're going to start reading a text together. And the way this is going to work is that I'm going to read the element that we're reading. You're also going to have a copy of that element. And then we're going to focus down on a particular extract where we can focus on our skill development. And then either using the copy that you've got or by revisiting the video of me reading it to you, you're going to look at the skills that we're developing. So today we're developing the skill of retrieving information where we pull something out of the text, and you're going to be reading a section of Private Peaceful with us. It relates to our topic, which we will be covering within history, and I think you'll really enjoy it as a text. So Private Peaceful, just having a quick look at the colour, not the cover, the cover, sorry, rather than the colour. What do you think the book will be about? Okay, so have a think about that. Have a think what you can see on the cover. There's some clues which do relate to the actual topic that we're studying within our history, and also relate to the subject of the story. Do you think it's going to be a happy, sad story? Do you think it's an adventure? Do you think it's one about aliens? What do you think? What kind of story do you think it's going to be? Looking at the cover, who do you predict would enjoy it? The fact that we're doing it in Year 6 gives you an example of the age range it's going to be at. But what kind of person would enjoy this film, this book, do you think? Where do you think it's set? Which country, which place, which location? Where do you think it's set? What clues tell you about where it might be set? What clues can you see on the front cover which give you this information? And when do you think it's set? At what time? At what time of day? And what time of history? When do you think it's set? So it's just some things to have a think about. Now, if we were doing this together in our classroom, we'd have a discussion about that. If you're lucky enough to be with somebody else, so I'm thinking Talia and Layla, you might be able to have a chat about what you think about this at this point before you carry on. And if you're lucky enough to have somebody else to talk to whilst you're doing your home learning, maybe you could talk to them about what you think about this book before you progress with the video. As we progress with the video now, what we're going to think about is the first question we've got. Now, I'm going to read a text to you, and the first question is, why is school a terrible place? We'll read through the whole chapter, and then we're going to think about what we can do to unpick the answer to that question. Okay, so the first chapter is called 10:05. They've gone now, and I'm alone at last. I have the whole night ahead of me, and I won't waste a single moment of it. I shan't sleep it away. I won't dream it away either. I mustn't, because every moment of it will be far too precious. Guys, if you've got your copy of this, read it along as I go to make sure I don't make any mistakes. I want to try to remember everything just as it was, just as it happened. I love the way that the author repeated those words to just make it clear that they weren't to be precise in their memory. I've had nearly 18 years of yesterdays and tomorrows, and tonight I must remember as many of them as I can. I want tonight to be long as my life, not filled with fleeting dreams that rush me on towards dawn. What a wonderful evocative phrase. Fleeting dreams that rush me on towards dawn. Tonight, more than any other night of my life, I want to feel alive. Charlie is taking me by hand, leading me because he knows I don't want to go. I've never worn a collar before, and it's choking me. My boots are strange and heavy on my feet. My heart is heavy too, because I dread what I am going to do, what I am going to. Charlie has told me often how terrible the school place is, about Mr. Mummings and his raging tempers and the long whipping cane he hangs on the wall above his desk. Big Joe doesn't have to go to school, and I don't think that's fair at all. He's much older than me. He's even older than Charlie, and he's never been to school. He stays at home with Mother and sits up in his tree singing oranges and lemons and laughing. Big Joe is always happy, always laughing. I wish I could be happy like him. I wish I could be at home with him. I don't want to go with Charlie. I don't want to go to school. I look back over my shoulder, hoping for a reprieve, hoping that Mother will come running after me and take me home. But she doesn't come, and she doesn't come. And school, but she doesn't come, and she doesn't come. That repetition against a really powerful writing skill. And school and Mr. Munnins and his cane are getting closer with every step. Piggyback, says Charlie. He sees my eyes are full of tears and knows how it is. Charlie always knows how it is. He's 3 years older than me, so he's done everything and knows everything. He's strong too and very good at piggy bats. So I hop up and cling on tight, crying behind my closed eyes, trying not to whimper out loud. But I cannot hold back my sobbing for long, because I know that this morning is not the beginning of anything, not new and exciting as Mother says it is, but rather the end of my beginning. Clinging on around Charlie's neck, I know that I am living the last moments of my carefree time, that I will not be the same person when I come home this afternoon. I open my eyes and see a dead crow hanging from the fence, his beak open. Was he shot in mid-scream as he began to sing, his raucous tune scarcely begun? He sways, his feathers still catching the wind even in death, his family and friends cawing in their grief and anger from the high elm trees above us. I am not sorry for him. It could be him that drove away my robin and emptied her nest of her eggs, my eggs. 5 of them there had been, live and warm under my fingers. I remember I took them out one by one and laid them in the palm of my hand. I wanted them for my tin, to blow them like Charlie did and lay them in cotton wool with my blackbird's eggs and pigeon's eggs. I would have taken them, but something made me draw back, made me hesitate. The robin was watching me from my father's rose bush, her black and beady eyes unblinking, begging me. Father was in that bird's eyes. Under the rose bush, deep down, buried in the damp and wormy earth, were all his precious things. Mother had his pipe in first. Then Charlie laid his hobnail boots side by side, curled into each other, sleeping. Big Joe knelt down and covered the boots in old father's scarf. Your turn, Tomo, Mother said. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was holding the gloves he'd worn the morning he died. I remembered picking up one of them up. I knew what they did not know, what I could never tell them. Mother helped me to do it in the end, so that Father's gloves lay there on top of his scarf, palms uppermost, thumbs touching. I felt those hands willing me not to do it, willing me to think again, not to take the eggs, not to take them what was mine. So I didn't do it. Instead, I watched them grow, saw the scrawny skeletal stirrings, the nest of gaping, begging beaks, the frenzied screeching at feeding time, witnessed too late from my bedroom window the last of the early morning massacre, the parent robins watching like me, distraught and helpless, while the marauding crows made off skywards, cackling, their murderous deed done. I don't like crows. I've never liked crows. The crow hanging there on the fence got what he deserved. That's what I said. That's what I think. Charlie is finding the hill up into the village hard going. I can see the church tower and below it the roof of the school. My mouth is dry with fear. I cling tighter. First day's the worst, Tomo, Charlie's saying, breathing hard. It's not so bad, honest. Whenever Charlie says honest, I know it's not true. Anyway, I'll look after you. That I do believe, because he always has. He does look after me too, setting me down and walking me through all the boisterous banter of the schoolyard, his hand on my shoulder, comforting me, protecting me. The school bell rings and we line up in 2 silent rows, about 20 children in each. I recognise some of them from Sunday school. I look around and realise that Charlie is no longer beside me. He's in the other line and he's winking at me. I blink back and he laughs. I can't wink with one eye, not yet. Charlie always thinks that's very funny. Then I see Mr. Munnings standing on the school steps, cracking his knuckles in the suddenly silent schoolyard. He has tufty cheeks and a big belly under his waistcoat. He has a gold watch open in his hand. It's his eyes that are frightening, and I know they're searching me out. Aha! He cries, pointing right at me. Everyone has turned to look. A new boy to add to my trials and tribulations. Was not one peaceful enough? What have I done to deserve another one? First a Charlie peaceful, and now a Thomas peaceful. Is there no end to my woes? Understand this, Thomas Peaceful, that here I am your Lord and Master. You do what I say when I say it. You do not cheat. You do not lie. You do not blaspheme. You do not come to school in bare feet, and your hands will be clean. These are my commandments. Do I make myself absolutely clear? Yes, sir. I whisper, surprised I can find any voice at all. We file in past him, hands behind our backs. Charlie smiles across at me as the two lines part. Tiddlers into my classroom, big uns into his. I'm the littlest of the tiddlers. Most of the big uns are even bigger than Charlie. 14-year-olds, some of them. I watch him until the door closes behind him and he's gone. Until this moment, I have never known what it feels like to be truly alone. My bootlaces are undone. I can't tie laces. Charlie can, but he's not here. I hear Mr. Munnins' thunderous voice next door calling the roll, and I am so glad that we have Miss McAllister. She may speak with a strange accent, but at least she smiles, and at least she's not Mr. Munnins. Thomas, she tells me, you'll be sitting there next to Molly, and your laces are undone. Everyone seems to be tittering at me as I take my place. All I want to do is to escape, to run, but I don't dare do it. All I can do is cry. I hang my head so there's not that they can't see my tears coming. Crying won't do your laces up, you know, Miss McAllister says. I can't, miss, I tell her. Can't is not a word we shall use in my class, Thomas Peaceful, she says. We shall just have to teach you to tie your bootlaces. That's what we're all here for, Thomas, to learn. That's why we come to school, don't we? You show him Molly. Molly's the oldest girl in my class, Thomas, and my best pupil. She'll help you. So while she calls the roll, Molly knees down in front of me and does up my laces. She ties laces very differently from Charlie, delicately, more slowly, in a great loopy double knot. She doesn't look at me while she's doing it, not once. I wish she would. She has the hair the same colour as Billy Boy, father's old horse, chestnut brown and shining, and I want to reach out and touch it. Then she looks up at me and smiles. It's all I need. Suddenly, I no longer want to run home. I want to stay here with Molly. I have a friend. In playtime in the schoolyard, I want to go over and talk to her. I can't because she's always surrounded by a gaggle of giggling girls. They keep looking over at me, over their shoulders and laughing. I look for Charlie, but Charlie's splitting conkers open with his friends, all of them big uns. I go to sit on an old tree stump and I undo my bootlaces and try to do them up again, remembering how Molly did it. I try again and again. After only a short while, I find I can do it. I try again and again. After only a short while, I find I can do it. It's untidy and it's loose, but I can do it. Best of all, from across the schoolyard, Molly sees I can do it and smiles at me. Right, guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop reading. That's page 13. You've got to finish up to the end of page 17. You should have those in your pack. Now, in addition to that, what we're going to do is just have an example of how we could answer one of these questions. Okay, so if we look at this first question, we've got, why is school a terrible place? Okay, now if I look at the section relating to pages 10 and 11, I can see within that section that there's some elements which tell me why school is a terrible place. So my correct answer, would probably reference the idea that this teacher, Mr. Munnings, I mean, Mr. Spring thinks he sounds great, but what he's doing is cracking his knuckles. I mean, that's showing, isn't it, that he's intimidating. When I say I think he's great, I'm obviously joking, guys. I think he sounds horrible. He sounds intimidating. He sounds scary. He's intimidating people. I can also see in my answer that I'd be thinking about school's not great because already there's a bad reputation for Thomas when he started school. As another Peaceful, it wouldn't be fair if we judged people based on the fact that there was somebody else there before us. At the bottom of the page, we also see this idea that suddenly now Charlie's gone. Thomas is useful to having Charlie with him, but Charlie's gone. And finally, the fact that he's on his own makes Thomas worried because he can't do something. He's suddenly aware of things he can't do. And because of that, school's not great for him. So just within that page, there's 4 elements that show me how school's not great. And within the chapter, there's more of that. Now, what I'm trying to make the point of is when you're answering these questions, it's rubbish because Mr. Munnins is scary. If I'd answered that, I might have got 1 point. I probably wouldn't. But if it was a 2-mark question, I'd want 3 or 4 points to support my answer. And that's what I need you to try and do when you're looking at these following questions. Now, some of them, like the first one, what hangs above Mr. Munnins' desk, is going to be quite a short answer, just a piece of information. But what I need you to do as you read through the section all the way up to page 17 is to try and answer these. And if there are details that you can add to these, or evidence points that you can add to these, or why somebody might not allow a particular word, then add that detail. So question 5 says, what word is McAllister not allow? Now, if you found out the answer, great. You might get a little bit of a mark for that. But really, to show that you understand the text, you've got to say why you think it is. You've got to say how she says it to. You've got to say what happens because she won't let that word be used. Okay, so try and add plenty of detail to your answers. Good luck with that. Work hard. And we'll carry on with the text from page 17 tomorrow.